This came from a book I read called The Gift of Fear by the security consultant Gavin de Becker.
Just like every other creature on Earth, we get a signal prior to violence. There are pre-incident indicators, things that happen before violence occurs.
Tess shows up to an Airbnb the night before a job interview, but it just so happens that it has also been booked by Bill Skarsgård.
He had written a lot of examples of behavior that men can do that often women are encouraged to ignore, like little tiny microscopic red flags.
Without confirming that Billy Skarsgård is actually renting this place, Tess goes inside after he offers in a bit of a spooky way.
Why don't you come inside and we'll call these idiots.
And the gift of fear is he's basically saying, like, pay attention to that little voice inside your head, because a lot of times when we bypass these little warning signs, it's to our detriment.
The first 30 minutes of Barbarian are pretty delicious. Specifically, I love how it goes back and forth between horror movie and romance movie. You can argue that how we got here is a little silly, but we need a movie, so hush. The whole time you're trying to decide whether or not Bill Skarsgård is insane. On one hand, there are several reasons as to why he could be. For one, he has an interesting look. He's handsome, but it's like you can see the Pennywise. And this situation simply does not help. Imagine it's a stormy night, you pull up to your epic B&B in this really scary area, only to find that a guy that looks like Bill Skarsgård is already in that home. Oh my fucking god! No offense. 2, it's Bill Skarsgård. He's a well-known actor, he's coming off of It, and the trailer frames him as the antagonist. So of course he's gonna torment Tess for the entire movie and somehow die at the end. Drop the nice guy act, Bill, we see right through you. 3, his name in this movie is Keith. Not that it's a bad name, but it has a certain vibe to it. It's the kind of guy who's right-handed but goes lefty when he jerks off. My Finsta name in high school was Keith Calendar 555. Also, there's just a lot of small red flags from the perspective of Tess. He proposes that Tess stay the night because there's a convention and all the hotels are booked and there's just nothing else that can be done. Why not just let her go, Keith? He tells her that her name is pretty. He makes her tea even after she says she's all good. He offers wine. He brings her luggage inside. When she gets out of the shower, he's waiting with wine glasses. He claims that he wanted to wait to open the wine that she said no to because he noticed that she didn't drink the tea that she also said no to. So by opening the wine in front of her, maybe she'll feel more comfortable about drinking it. Bro, what? But then we get the romance. Tess starts to warm up to Keith when they talk more and he happens to know about her niche interest. He's kind of a cool guy. So now it's like, maybe he's normal. Maybe he was just being nice earlier. He doesn't want Tess to be on her own at night because it's dangerous, especially because she doesn't have a guaranteed place to stay. And all of his little gestures are just his attempts to make her comfortable. I mean, offering to bring her luggage in is a nice thing to do. Tess is a pretty name. If he knows he's not fucked, then he might not pick up on how some of these things could come off weird to her. He's just trying to make the most of a weird situation, and because he's a guy, it's less risky. And the romance is pretty disarming. It kind of made me forget that we're in a horror movie. They're just two people getting to know each other. A little bit of banter on the couch over some wine. Fuck! I might need to get back on Hinge.
Guys will walk all over you as long as you let them.
Not me! Please, for the love of God, pick me. I'm actually a bit of a misandrist myself. Why is he being goofy and charming? I'm stealing this. Imagine he starts doing a Scooby-Doo impression. Look at her smiling and shit. And then it goes right back to a horror movie. After the two go to bed, Tess's door mysteriously opens and there's this gross sound. She walks into the living room to find Keith having one of his classic sex dreams. And now I'm thinking, we got him. We fucking got him. This is some demon shit. Turns out he was just like having a nightmare or something. Completely normal. The next day, Tess goes down to the basement to look for toilet paper when the door mysteriously closes on its own. Unfortunately, it also locks from the outside. She doesn't have her phone, and Keith is not here. She looks around and finds this secret door.
Nope.
Yeah, I asked Jordan, when we were done, I was like, so does that there's a scene, obviously where a character says nope. I hadn't seen Nope at that point. I knew what it was called. I knew he was in the middle of production. I was like, is this okay?
Behind the door is a room with a camera, a dirty mattress, a bucket, and a bloody handprint on the wall. Suddenly, Keith is looking suspicious again. He gets back to the spot, Tess tells him that they need to get the fuck out, and I'm just waiting for him to turn evil. We saw the trailer, bud. When Tess tells him what she saw, he acts as if she's crazy and even stops her from leaving. He's not even trying to hide it anymore. He goes down to the basement to check it out while Tess waits and just doesn't come back up. Instead, he goes deeper into the basement, if you can believe that. Amen. Asking for help here is crazy. I'm just gonna assume you're trying to lure me down there, and even if you're not, you're already done. Your life is over, but mine doesn't have to be. You're selfish. Maybe you deserve to die. Director Zach Cregger describes the writing process for this film as an intuitive one.
I really didn't think much about it beyond what's the next scene. I didn't outline this. I didn't know where it was going. I just wanted to surprise myself all the way through.
He kind of just went off vibes. Horror movies and bulletproof logic typically do not mix. This movie knows that and wears it with pride. Tess shows up to an Airbnb the night before a job interview, but it just so happens that it has also been booked by Bill Skarsgård. Listen, I'm just some random guy, but I feel like I would at least consider driving somewhere else. The narrative reason for why Tess stays at the Airbnb is that there's a convention in town and all the hotels are probably booked, but I feel like she didn't really look that hard. And even if we assume that's true, could you not just drive outside of the convention zone, 30 minutes or something? Low-key, I might even consider going to a well-lit area and just sleeping in my car. I'm not trying to wake up to Bill Skarsgård tweaking in his sleep. When Tess finds the scary room in the basement and Keith goes down there despite her warning, why does she follow him? It is established that she's extremely nice and is the type of person that wouldn't want to leave someone behind, but this man clearly does not care about anything. Drive away and call the cops. The rest is above you. Also, why does the basement door close on its own if this movie isn't supernatural? Zach Cregger, why?
It's honestly, that's just one of the logic drops of the movie. It really is. I mean, there's going to be a couple of moments where you just kind of who cares? Eventually, every horror movie's character has to go into the darkness.
Damn near every horror movie you see is gonna involve a character making a slightly to extremely unrealistic decision or something unforeseen happening purely for the plot to move forward. When I think about the last 3 horror movies I've seen, there's Until Dawn. In this movie, a girl brings her friends to a remote valley where her sister mysteriously disappeared a year earlier to search for answers, with no plan. In Sinners, there's Grace letting her emotions get the best of her at the worst possible time. And in Heretic, characters take a preposterous amount of time to die. We need a movie, and I need a video, so go into that fucking darkness. But I feel like that's a part of what makes it fun, right? I don't think silly character decisions are negatives as long as the plot is interesting and keeps me guessing. And the decision is one that makes sense for how the character is set up, even if I don't personally agree with it. Sure, Tess going back into the basement is a little silly, but I kind of want to know what's down there. So fuck it. And once again, she's really nice. Probably too nice. If the horror is good, I don't really care too much about the illogical stuff. Actually make the characters dumb, that shit's funny. She should have dove head first down this shit, laughing the entire way. So there's clear logic drops, but they don't feel lazy. Instead, it feels like Barbarian understands how horror movies work and why we go along with them. The script is as intricate as it needs to be. We really need Tess to go down this scary tunnel, so let's make her a good person. In the end, we're more interested in what's down there than we are in why she goes. Plus, the lack of logic is what puts characters in precarious situations and creates the tension. Audibly telling a character to not do something is a part of the experience. This movie isn't trying to do big winks at the audience and show how self-aware it is, but it also isn't spamming cliches and giving you unlikable characters. It just knows why you're here, you freak. It knows why people like horror movies. It leans into the cliches and then flips them. starting with Keith.
And so I was writing that, and then I kept going, and I was thinking, like, okay, Keith's probably the bad guy. And I didn't really know how it was going to work out, and I got her down into the basement, and then I was like, feels like now's about the time something should happen. I don't know what it should be. And then I was just like, giant naked lady comes out and smashes him to pieces. And then it was like, oh, wow, okay, here we go. It wasn't much more thought out than that. That was how it happened.
My mouth was agape when I first saw this. And the marketing of this movie was really good. Usually you want a movie trailer to give you a basic idea of what said movie is about. Duh. But I feel like horror movie trailers can be pretty ambiguous and still get people to show up. You got your calm opening where we see how the movie begins, then signs that something is off, then chaotic montage, a bunch of bizarre shit, potentially in a very random order, and make sure to say something like, audiences are terrified, or scariest movie of the year. Works on me every fucking time. I think the more unknown the plot is, the more I want to see the movie. It's so mysterious. What could it possibly be about? Rewatching the trailer again after seeing this movie is an interesting experience. They were toying with us. We've got a double booked Airbnb with Tess and Keith. Okay. Then Tess goes into an underground tunnel. Keith crawls out of darkness. Creepy room. Random TV narration about breastfeeding. Distressed Justin Long. Tunnel. Tess falling. Shot of a house that looks nothing like anything else. And very quick cuts that make it hard to tell what's going on. It reads as Tess must get away from Bill Skarsgård, and maybe there's supernatural or psychological thriller aspects, but I don't know. And that unknown makes it more intriguing and helps bring you in. And on top of that, they use Bill Skarsgård's casting as a fake out. A classic ejecto-ceto. Aw, you thought you was gonna get the evil Bill Skarsgård movie? Turns out you don't know shit. They understood that people who are going to see horror movies in theaters don't need the full picture because they want to be spooked. And the way the trailer uses this to misdirect us makes this twist hit so hard. Barbarian backshots. And what comes next is a completely different movie. This is one of the most jarring tone switches I can remember saying in the theater. We go from the asshole of Detroit to Malibu. Justin Long is here. Dodgeball. He's just not that into you. The stuff of legend. Tusk. Haven't seen it. Alvin. In this movie, Justin plays AJ Gilbride, a fucked individual. Scum. Schmegma. AJ's in the car listening to Ricky Tikki Tavi by Donovan. What did I just say? And I can't blame him. I personally added this song to my daytime driving playlist after watching this movie. But what kind of man knows all the words to this geeker ass song? Everybody who read the Jungle Book knows that Ricky Tikki Tavi's mongoose kill snakes. Like, what the fuck? AJ is an actor whose career is ruined after he is leveled with some very serious sexual assault allegations. And it ends up being very clear that he is guilty. While talking about the situation at a bar with director Zach Cregger, he describes himself as a persistent guy. He's now bleeding money due to legal fees and his spending habits, so he needs cash. He owns properties in Michigan that he can sell, so he takes a trip to go look at them. And the first one that he goes to see happens to be the Airbnb that was double booked by Tess and Keith. This next sequence is fucking incredible. AJ sees that someone has clearly been staying at the house, so he tries to figure out who it is for a few minutes. What could he have possibly typed here? That might be the craziest thing that happens in this movie. Who just throws a laptop like this? He then hears a noise coming from the basement and puts on an entire fit to scope it out. He goes down and finds the scary room with the camera and the tunnel. But instead of being freaked out by it, he sees it as an opportunity to sell the house for more money. Him pulling out the measuring tape and not being fazed by anything is so good. I love this because we've already been creeped out by the room and tunnel. So seeing AJ get scared after finding this stuff wouldn't hit the same as when Tess did. It being funny instead is such a great way to re-experience this. I didn't know who Zach Cregger was before this movie.
Zach Cregger.
Yeah.
What do you got there? This is a gallon of PCP.
I've never seen The Whitest Kids You Know. Crazy name, by the way. But this sequence alone tells me that he's funny. So AJ eventually runs into the monster and gets chased into this hole where he meets Tess. There's then another jarring transition, but this time it's a flashback to the 80s, the origin of the house. A visually and stylistically drastic switch up from the rest of the movie. There's a different aspect ratio, different color palette, and long, eerie tracking shots as we follow a man named Frank. It's all pristine and perfect, but in a very sinister way. Frank is the original owner of the house. We see him get baby supplies in preparation for a home birth, stalk a woman back to her home, and pretend to be a plumber so that he can go inside and unlock her bathroom window. And it's implied that he will later abduct her. Frank goes home, and the flashback ends when he opens the basement door to the sound of a woman screaming. We later learn that he continuously abducted women and had children through incest, eventually resulting in this. It's like, how do you even transition from that, you know? I actually watched Notting Hill recently. Very solid. Very solid. Didn't expect Julia Roberts to be a piece of shit in this. I mean, don't get me wrong, still #need, but I didn't really think she was all that charming in this. Hugh Grant, though. Hugh fucking Grant. The fits, the glasses, hard. There's a scene where he's like walking through the town and the seasons are like smoothly transitioning around him. So good. Lizard from Amazing Spider-Man was on some nut shit. I loved it. Fancy a fuck? Like, come on. Alright, we're back. In the present day, the monster's trying to make Tess and AJ drink milk from this fat-ass baby bottle. So do my lips have to touch the pubes or what? It turns out she's not the monster. She's the mother. She's misunderstood. AJ refuses to drink, so the mother drags him to her special little spot and tries to breastfeed him. Now, AJ does not want this. But imagine if he did. He pushes her off into the corner. He does the worm. He double clutches a titty and drinks it like a Gatorade bottle. Mind you, the shit probably tastes like Four Loko. So the end of this movie is pretty absurd. Tess escapes and calls the cops, but they think she's crazy. So she breaks into the house to get her car keys. Does she leave? Of course not. Are you kidding? The mother busts out of the house. Tess proceeds to drive into her and then goes to help AJ. During all this, AJ went deeper into the tunnels and found Frank rotting. He can't talk, can barely move, probably can't wipe his own ass. How is he even alive? Is the mother bringing him back food when she goes out at night? She goes out at night. She didn't follow AJ to his room, so obviously she's scared of him. But even if she has been feeding him, in the 80s flashback, he's minimum 45 years old. And this movie takes place at least 40 years after that. And he's in a fucking dungeon.
Who cares?
And like all the other logic gaps in this movie, this honestly doesn't take me out of it. It's like the perfect amount of illogical, and the plot doesn't give you much time to think about it anyways. Frank shoots himself after being discovered. And the rest of this is AJ and Tess trying to get away from the mother. AJ Gilbride continues to be a terrible person. Starting with him accidentally shooting Tess when she comes to save him. Could you really not see that it was her? She's standing in light. Then later on, when they go to a water tower to get away from Mother, AJ throws Tess off of it, expecting Mother to go after her. She not only does this, but also saves Tess on some superhero shit. No gear, no flying ability, just love. This shit is hilarious. And she doesn't die. In fact, she gets up and brutally murders AJ. She's kinda strong. I should mention that earlier, Tess and AJ try to get help from this homeless man, and the mother comes through, rips his arm off, and beats him with it. The mother is the product of multi-generational incest. She scavenges at night for food. Shouldn't she be weak and frail? How does she have the strength to rip a man's arm off? How does she get under Tess to cushion her fall? No gear?
Who cares?
But hey, maybe she's not literal. She's symbolic, a manifestation of generational trauma. After all this, the mother still wants Tess to be her baby.
After all that,
I mean, she literally put her life in jeopardy to save her. It's crazy. At first you think she's this vile, disgusting creature, but really she's just a tragic victim of heinous circumstances, a byproduct of immense suffering. And after everything she's gone through, she just wants to be a mother.
That pistol get that pussy wet, now come have sex with me. Blick Sum.
The way Zach Cregger describes writing this movie really does make it seem like he was just going off vibes. I'm writing this in now because I forgot to mention it earlier, but I love how there's aspects of this movie that are so clever, but completely unintentional. Like it's been pointed out that Barbarian is an anagram for Airbnb, which I don't think is technically true, but hey, almost. The address of the house is 476 Barbary, and apparently 476 is the year that Rome fell to the barbarians.
I was like, I had to Google that and be like, is that true? And it is true. So it's just like, I don't take credit for any of that stuff.
But I do think that it's a very creative, fun movie that is one of my most memorable theater experiences. Even if you can't get past some of the illogical stuff, like the magical door or Super Mommy, I still think there's something to be said about understanding what makes horror movies so fun and what horror audiences care about. Weapons in August. I'll certainly be there. Thank you for watching. I love you.